Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Marissa Explains It All. So I am here in my comfy clothes by my sewing machine because I don't know about you, but everyone I know right now is pregnant, which is awesome. But that means that everybody I know is gonna have a baby shower, and that means like a lot of baby shower gifts. So I figured I would show you guys what I like to do for baby showers. I love doing personalized gifts, and I think they're just such a special touch and something, that you can get the new mom outside of what's on their registry. And so I think everybody loves personalized stuff, and it's so cool to be able to make one. I have a dual purpose sewing machine and embroidery machine that I can make some things with. I can monogram, but I'll show you some other options too. So I am making today a series of really cute monogrammed and just kind of personalized burp cloths for my cousin. So she's having a little girl, and so I figured I would show you guys what I'm making for her, and if you guys wanted to follow along, it would be a good gift for you in the future. Stay tuned and I'll be right back. So let's talk materials. The first thing you'll need are some of these pre-fold cloth diapers, and I get these on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link these in the description below and put the price on the screen for you. The next thing you'll need are some cute pieces of fabric. I actually collect fabric, so I have a ton of it, and I had some remnants from other projects, and I thought these three were really cute and would just go really well together in a set as a gift. So I am using flannel here. They have a lot of cute flannel prints for babies, but you can use other things like cotton or any thin fabric. So just choose a fabric you like, and we will start looking at design. So next thing you'll need is a design in mind for what you would like to do. So I've drawn out the designs that I'd like to make today on two of them. I'd like to just do the flannel on the bottom and a monogram on the top, or her name on the top. And the second one, I'm just going to do the print running down vertically along the cloth, and then just a monogram of her first initial in the center. So I've picked out the fabric I'd like to use for each of these designs, so I know which one goes to which. So get your game plan set, and then you'll of course need your sewing machine, and now that you've got everything, the last thing you'll need is a way to personalize the items, if you choose to do that. So I do have a Brother SE400 dual sewing and embroidery machine, so I can actually do the embroidery myself on the machine. But if you don't have that, you can always buy a monogrammed patch and sew it on, or you can freehand sew something on, or you can always use heat transfer vinyl. So if you have access to a Cricut or a silhouette machine, you can certainly cut yourself some HTV and just iron it on. Or if you don't have access to one of those machines, you can buy a heat transferred vinyl decal from Etsy. There are sellers that will do custom decals, and you can iron them on. So there are just tons of options for that. So hopefully you find something that you like, some kind of a design, and just iron it on, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do recommend pre-washing the fabric because it does tend to shrink. So I'm not going to do this today for the sake of time. So the first thing I do is iron them because they come out quite wrinkled, as you can see. They do come in a 6-pack, so here's 3, and then here's 3 more. I'm going to set those aside, and then I'll switch to ironing these out so that they're nice and smooth when we go to do our embroidery design and everything. So let's do that. Just a note, these are the thinner, more muslin type of cloths, so you can buy some that are thicker cotton and kind of more premium burp cloth fabric that if you like. These just kind of have that open weave, so just a note if you're looking for a certain quality. So I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and start with the first design here on the left hand side. So where I'm going to sew the printed fabric on the bottom third and then monogram her initial in the center top. And I'm going to go ahead and use for this pattern, this printed paisley fabric, and I'm going to unroll it and just cut myself a piece that's a little bit bigger than the bottom part of it. So I just want to kind of cover up the bottom third of the burp cloth, and so I'll just kind of get that space here cut out. One thing I'm going to use to help do this is my quilting mat, and it is certainly well loved and well worn, in addition to my rotary cutter and then the quilter's square to help get like a nice straight edge. It looks like I actually do have a straight edge at the top and at the side of this fabric, because it looks like it's like curved at the bottom here. I've used it for another project, so I just need to make sure I have a nice square. So I'm just going to kind of lay my burp cloth out and figure out how big of a piece I'll need. And you can certainly do this by measuring if you'd like. You can take your ruler out and just kind of make sure you measure, and just make sure you leave a little 1/2 inch clearance around all of the sides for seam allowance. Or you could just eyeball it like I'm doing here. So it's about 1/3 of the burp cloth, so I think I will do roughly this height. So just cut yourself a piece that's wider, a little bit wider around, like I said, about 1/2 inch is good. And I'm going to actually just run a quick iron over it after I cut. And I'm going to go ahead and set it aside because we are going to start on the monogram part first. So I wanted to kind of lay it out and make sure I know where the pattern will end, where the fabric's going to end, so that I know where to mark ends monogram. So I'm going to take this little pin here and just kind of mark where the monogram should go. And so before I begin stitching, of course, I will need to hoop the cloth and put a stabilizer on it. And this isn't really meant to be a full-on embroidery tutorial, but I figured I'd show the basic steps for embroidery as I go along. So I'm just grabbing a multi-purpose spray glue real quick, and I'm gonna use that with my stabilizer and just give the fabric a little quick spritz with this Elmer's spray adhesive, and then attach the tearaway stabilizer so it can have a nice base for it to grab onto. And so now I am going to go ahead and grab my hoop, and this sometimes takes a little bit of wrangling to do, but I'm gonna hoop it up. So this always takes me a few minutes. I removed the pin now that I just need to stitch in the center of the hoop. I don't need the pin. I've got my design loaded, and I've got the cloth loaded in the carriage ready to go, and this machine is super cool. I love it. I'm just gonna kind of place the lever down, and I'm gonna go ahead and load the monogram file by selecting it and then pressing the upload button. It's kind of really cool how you can see the design on the screen and then just press the upload button. And then from there I can adjust the layout. You can adjust several things, but it allows me to kind of show where it's going to stitch out. It kind of draws a nice little box and shows me the size that my final design will be, which is great. I think this looks like the right size. And so I'm going to go ahead and press the green start button, and I am going to watch it do its magic. So this is our design. It's stitched up really nicely. I think it looks super good and ready to unhoop. So I'll go ahead and unhoop it now, and I'm also going to tear away the stabilizer on the back, give it a quick iron, and then we're ready to add our fabric to the front. So it's all ironed and looks nice and flat. I want to go ahead and just grab my paisley fabric and lay it on top. And I did give this a quick iron too, just so they were both nice and pressed. So I'm going to kind of shift up here since we are focusing on the top third of, or the bottom third rather, of the fabric. So the first thing you need to do is to secure the top edge. You can actually run a stitch all the way along just by kind of tucking the edges underneath and just sewing it. But the problem is these edges are not straight. The burp cloths are often just kind of wonky, and they're not perfectly straight, and they're kind of difficult to get and line up. So I have another trick that I like to do, and this is going to be a little counterintuitive, but stay with me. So put your burp cloth fabric down over the decorative fabric, so you kind of just lay it right on top. So we're used to doing like right sides together, right? But let's do it this way, and I'll show you. We're going to end up sewing on 3 sides of this fabric, flipping it, and then we'll kind of sew the pouch closed that it makes. But to do that little method, which I love and it turns out great, you kind of do have to do something with that top seam, that top edge. You can just kind of fold it down and sew it, or you can add something decorative. So I am actually going to grab a little decorative ruffle because I think this would look really cute on it. I'm just using a Dritz brand sheer ruffle elastic. Doesn't have to be elastic. You can of course just do ribbon or rickrack or something else, but cut yourself a piece that's just a little bit wider than the burp cloth itself, maybe just to kind of line up with the fabric, and this will give us like a nice little edge on the sides when we end up sewing it. So I do leave myself a little bit of extra on the side, and I'll, you know, snip that little piece. So I've got that cut, and I did actually go ahead and sew it. So just sew your elastic or your ribbon or whatever to the top of your printed fabric. Now let's go ahead and lay that burp cloth right back over, making sure that it's kind of, you know, in a good spot and not too close to your monogram. So mine's going to end up about right here, which I think is perfect. It leaves a couple inches between my design and my monogram. You could adjust it here at this point if you wanted to shift your printed fabric down, but I like the way that that would look. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick pin, and then I'm going to take it over to my machine. So I'm here at my machine. I'll just kind of show this real briefly and fast forward. Now that it is done, I'm going to go ahead and cut myself off the excess. So just kind of trim it. You can trim it pretty close, and then you can trim the corners too, since we're going to turn them, so you can do that. And then once you've got your corners all trimmed, we're going to flip it inside out, and ta-da! It looks cute, and I was like so amazed when this actually worked the first time. But go ahead and poke yourself little edges out. I do tend to use the my scissors to kind of poke a little edge out. Now we need to go ahead and sew this shut, and so I do need to kind of take it back to the machine, which I just did, and make sure that it is sewn shut. So now that it's done, it is ready to be presented. It's got nice clean corners, and I can just kind of fold it into thirds and just present it this way to the new mom. I think it looks so cute. It turns out really good. And when it's on the shoulder, it looks nice too. Now let's go to design number 2. And so if you remember, design number 2 was just the middle printed fabric running vertically down the front. I'm going to grab my pink polka dotted fabric for this piece, and I do need to add the fabric first and then monogram over top of it. So I'm just going to kind of sew a little strip down here, kind of tucking the sides under, and then stitch the top. So that'll be pretty easy. Again, grabbing my little quilter square here and my self-healing mat and my rotary cutter, just making sure that I cut a nice square piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just tuck the edges of each end under. You can press this if you feel like it helps. Sometimes it does, but try to get it as close as you can. So I did go ahead and take this over the machine and just top stitch all the way around. Now I've hooped it all up, and I'm ready to do my embroidery, and I'm just going to do the letter S here for her. So this will be a pretty simple design. So you could do the full name here if you wanted. You could do another monogram if you wanted, and just kind of choose a thread color that will show up. I'm choosing white just to keep in the theme of our kind of pink and white type of motif. So I just chose, like I said, a really simple initial S for her first name. So now here it is, and this one's done. This one's a lot quicker. So go ahead and fold this into thirds, and then it is ready to go with our set. So for our third design, I wanted to go ahead and do the same thing I did with the first, where I have sewn the fabric onto the bottom of the diaper and then place like a little decorative border or something here in the middle to kind of hide the seam, and then stitch out her first and middle name on here with my machine. So I have gone ahead and kind of ironed my diaper, and I have cut out my piece of fabric. This was the third piece that I wanted to use, and went ahead and ironed it and made sure that I had like a nice square piece with my quilter's square, so that it was not kind of wonky. So I want to do the same method with the first, where I'm going to start with embroidering her name on the diaper, and then after that I will go ahead and sew some trim. And I actually found this really cute pom trim. I love this little pom pom trim. I've used it before in other projects, and I think it's super cute. And so I'm going to go ahead and sew this little pom trim to the top of the fabric to kind of hide the top edge, and then I'm going to place it behind our diaper and sew the 3 seams, and then close up the gap, and then we will be done with our third. So let's get to it. I've got is all stitched up. She's got her nice little name here, which turned out really pretty. I always love a good embroidery. So then it's time for the fabric, of course, to be added to the bottom. And so I have taken my piece of flannel and went ahead and sewed the little poms onto the top of it, and it is ready for our little trick. I will lay my cloth diaper over it and just try to make sure that there is a little bit left hanging over each edge, and then I am going to just kind of pin it in place so that it doesn't move when I sew it. Okay, I'm all pinned up, and I'm going to go ahead again and just sew these 3 sides and then flip it and then top stitch it, and I will be right back. I'm back here to go ahead and trim my edges, and then I will go ahead and turn it. And after a final press, this is how she's turned out. It's super cute, and I love this little pom trim. I love how it provides like this little fun element to the burp cloth. I think it is so adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and put this with the others, and I will go ahead and take a little panorama so you can see the 3 that are now fully completed. So that's the end of the tutorial. I think they turned out super cute. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I can't tell which one's my favorite. I really like this one, I think. This one is really cute, just with the way that the monogram lays, and it's such a southern thing to like monogram anyway. But I love this one. I mean, they're all just kind of cute in their own ways. I like this little pom trim, which is adorable. And then of course this one has the colors running all the way down, which is cute too. So I love them all. I can't choose. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you get stuck during any part of the tutorial, I'm happy to answer questions. And please subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I've got a little ways to go. So if you could help me out by hitting the subscribe button and ring the notification bell, and you'll get alerted whenever I upload a new video. And I do like to do all kinds of videos on my channel, including craft tutorials. So I will see you guys next time with the next tutorial. Bye guys.